Welcome to Plane Talk on WIMC Radio. The views and opinions expressed on Plane Talk are of the host, its guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views of the IMC Club or IMC Club International.
Well, good afternoon. It's Sun and Fun 2016. I'm Howie Marlin, your host, and it has got to be one of the most beautiful days one can imagine here for Sun and Fun right outside Tampa, Florida, and we've got quite the lineup for the week, and I'm going to start the show today with really a dear friend, Jason Shepard, who I've known for years. I'm going to say that when I came in 2011, he had a little thing going, and he was introducing his style of flight instruction and had a nice little website and offered a few very unique insights. Well, Jason sure has grown. And welcome to the show.
Cool, Howie. Thanks so much for having me again now. I appreciate it.
Well, it's wonderful having you. It's been really great watching you progress. Before the show, we were talking about the fact that we're looking at different ways for people to get invested in aviation. I talk about how when I got my ticket 10 years ago, I looked around and there were nothing but gray-haired men and no women and no kids, and I freaked out. So I was looking for ways to incite a riot, to get kids excited, to get people back into aviation. And really what's happened is that I ended up getting involved with the IMC Club and the Institute for Women of Aviation Worldwide, which we'll maybe talk about later. But Jason, you took the other tact, and you were just opening the doors to the young. I mean, how old are you? 16, 15?
27, Howie. I'm getting old. I grew my beard out for this, you know. I was hoping people can see it, you know. That's what I was hoping for. So I look a little older.
Well, your attitude is great.
Yes.
Now, and we were talking about different styles of flight instruction and
Yes.
different programs, and you're very animated.
Thank
One
you.
of the things I noticed about you from the very beginning was how excited you are, enthusiastic about the way that you
Yes.
say things, your voice, your
Thank
vocal
you.
intonations, and it makes people smile. And
you.
if you find something endearing, a quality in somebody, which is wonderful, then the nice thing is it just grows from there.
Yes.
So that's a wonderful thing. Tell me what's new and exciting and in the Jason M0A world.
Yes. So lots of cool things. So we're launching at Sun and Fun our new commercial pilot online ground school. So very pumped about that. Trying to offer the youth really a career-minded track as well as they're going into aviation. Working on some great airline partnerships and these sort of items to still work with the hobbyist pilots, but my big thing, as you know, we've talked about this every year, Howie, is exciting youth in aviation and showing youth that aviation is possible. And here's a great path to a great career in aviation and beyond. And it's not just airlines. What about the corporate lifestyle? What about I made a great living as a flight instructor? What about these other options that are out there for me?
Really, that's probably one of the best pitch I've heard, is looking at the broad scope of where the aerospace industry is looking for people.
Yes.
They're looking for talent on all levels. Of course, flying and being in the left seat is one thing, but the other is getting excited about all aspects of it. And you pitched to basically two different unique groups.
Yes.
There's this wonderful book, which I just gave somebody. I gave a friend of mine this book, and he's just starting now, and he was so excited because it says it's a blueprint, and it's a blueprint. It really is wonderful. I wished that I had this
Yes.
when I had started. Tell me about the book.
Well, and that's why I wrote it, because I wish I had this book. This is the Private Pilot Blueprint is really my gift to give back. It's a totally free book. So if you need more, I'll send you more. Or you can go on the website and get more. I'll ask is that they cover the shipping costs for getting it out there. But these cost, $2-3 to print, and I just hand them out. I call them my expensive business card. And it's everything I wish someone would have told me before I started my flight training. How do I find a great flight instructor? What makes a great flight instructor? What kind of questions should I ask that flight instructor? Because what happens is too often you get so excited about aviation, you just run into that FBO and say, just take me flying. And that's a great attitude to have, but what if you don't match with that flight instructor? I'll give you an example. Howie, I have a 17-month-old daughter. I have a wife. I like Saturdays and Sundays for my family. But maybe you say, Jason, I work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. The only 2 days I can fly are Saturday and Sundays. We're not going to be a good fit for one another. These are the kinds of questions that need to get asked early on. Then we talk about the two big ones, time and money. I always say nothing kills flight training dreams more than time and money. You have the money, don't have the time, or have the time, don't have the money. So how can we keep those two in balance? How can we build a budget? I know budgets aren't sexy, but we give you a great way to do that in the Private Pilot Blueprint. Do I need to purchase a headset? All these things. This flight school is trying to sell me this big kit, Jason, with this headset and all this. Do I need to buy all this right now? I just want to learn to fly. What's the best course of action? And not to give too much away, but that's what we're here for, right? Is the secret I have to it is I wish someone would have told me to do the groundwork first. My story is I thought I was going to take my check ride, and so my instructor looked at me one day and said, Jason, you can't take your private pilot check ride. You haven't done the written test yet. I kid you not, I looked at her and said, what's a written test? I didn't even know it existed.
For real?
Yeah, exactly. And now I'm an aviation educator. Isn't that a funny story? But you go back to stories like that and think, I don't want that to be somebody else, because you know how you prep for a written test and how you prep for a check ride are two totally different things. So how can I get in that written test mindset and switch to a check ride mindset? I was delayed 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks, with trying to get this written test done when I thought, man, I'm going to be a private pilot next week.
I just want you to understand. He said he was delayed 3 weeks.
A whole 3 weeks, I know. But can't you tell I'm a...
Dude, I burned the books for like 9 months.
I know.
On the written.
Yes.
And then I took my IFR written before I logged an hour in the hood.
That's amazing.
And I did really well, but that was 3 years ago, so now I got to take it again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just when I was ready to get in the air, my the availability of the airplane that I've been working on disappeared. So I got back at him. I bought it.
Yeah. That works.
You don't want me to fly the plane? Screw you! I bought it.
Yes.
Yeah, that worked out real good. So now, of course, for me, ADSB and the hangar and the strap, all the other stuff I was talking about is in the way. But what you lay out here is literally all the questions which will come to mind with everyone who's ever gotten a ticket.
Yes.
It's just a matter of when they ask the question. Mm-hmm. And you're saying, be prepared. You're going to want to know these things.
Yes.
One of the best things that you talk about was absolutely, I think, the most important thing, and that's the personality of the instructor.
Yes, absolutely.
And also because it took me 6 years, 5 flight instructors. Because of where I live, people won't stay.
Yes.
And I will tell you that I know how to work a pattern 5 different ways.
Wow.
And they're all right. They're all proper.
Sure.
It's different people's perspectives.
Yes.
And that's probably the coolest thing is to understand. Flight instruction, it's an art and a science.
Yes.
And you got to really learn how to interpret the information and
Yes.
how that's interpreted, and what you do with that information depends on style, attitude, and ability. So, yeah, you can have somebody. One of the first guys I worked with, put your hand out for a second. Just go like that.
Yep, got it.
I had my hand on the throttle. I took the hand off the throttle.
Smacked
whacked
it.
my hand.
I've heard of
I
that.
went, oh, okay. Never going to see you again.
Yeah.
Don't startle me like that.
Yeah.
Just how about, how's your verbal skills?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that didn't last. And there are other people, but you spell it out.
Sure.
You give the options. You took the time. How is it that you found all these landmines? Did you actually step on them all?
This is like my life story in a book, essentially. You talk about having 5 different instructors. For my commercial pilot...
It's what it reads like.
Exactly, yeah. For my commercial pilot certificate, it was 8 different flight instructors. And to expand on what you said was, one instructor knew Jason is great at slow flight, but he's really bad at steep turns. But the next instructor didn't know that. And this is back 04, 05. The airlines were hiring like crazy. And I'd have an instructor for one lesson, then I'd switch to the next one. And it delayed me more than 3 weeks, Howie. I know it sounds crazy.
Every time I got a new CFI, he look at my logbook, he goes, oh, okay, see, you did all the maneuvers. Let's go up and run them through one more time.
Sure.
Well, 10 hours later, I'm back to ground zero.
Yes.
And I'm like, really? That had all been signed off.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But they all teach differently. They all have their different styles. And you know what? There's something to be said. I do believe it made me a better pilot, having all those different perspectives. However, it wasn't best for my wallet at the time. You know how that goes.
Yeah, I do. And that's probably one of the best assets to this, because if you begin with the end in mind...
Yes. Always know your outcome.
And this is putting first things first to sell Stephen Covey, if I may. That the great thing is that you do this. You really do. And then comes learn to listen and then to speak. You know, the other.
Yes.
So you've taken all those best practices, all those fundamental business acumens, which make sense in those worlds, and you've brought it on a very grassroots level that people can understand easily, which I'm just going to segue right into your education style.
Yes.
One of the things, listen, I'm very animated. So, you love me or leave me. I am what I am. Watching you explain. I mean, when you're listening to Jason, I mean, he's really got, and it's really, you got to understand. And I can't even get my voice to go all the way up like you do.
Yes.
But you're doing it from your heart. And you're doing it in a way which is saying, I want you to grok this. And this is through my vision. And you do it effortlessly.
Thank you.
Obviously, people respond to it because other than your awful personality and you should look better.
Yes, thank you.
Somebody needs to
I
work
shaved.
you over.
I knew it.
Yeah, really, dude, come on. Cut a few feet off.
Yes.
You know.
I
Anyway.
used to fly a Cessna 150. I'd have to do a yoga class just to get in it, you know.
I know you keep talking about that.
That's the biggest thing. People meet me at Son of, and they go, "You're a lot taller than I thought." You know, it's funny.
Yeah, well, I don't know. You, me, and a half a tank of fuel. I don't think that half a tank is going to get it.
No.
That's not going to work it. But the point is your attitude.
Yes.
The point is your energy.
Thank you.
And you went one step further. Not only the Private Pilot Blueprint book, but you also created this Flying Again. And I watched the promos. I haven't seen the whole thing.
That's your
Tell me
copy,
about
then.
this. Sweet. Well, I think by law I can't take any. Yeah, I can.
Yes.
Okay. Isn't mental health? I'm a therapist by trade. I
Yes.
can't take gifts, but here,
Yes, absolutely.
sure. Thank you very much.
Yes. So
Tell
we,
me about this.
we really went both sides of the market, from the Private Pilot Blueprint to where do I start, to Flying Again, to Jason, it's been 5, 10, 20 years. I want to get back in the cockpit. How do I do it? So one of the individuals who worked with in here is Ariel Tweedo, who you guys might remember from Flying Wild Alaska. She hadn't flown in 3 years. You say, what, 3 years? It's no big deal. But 3 years of being out of an airplane, you see that rust. Her biggest obstacle, and by the way, she became a rusty pot because her entertainment career really kind of took off, and she was doing Letterman and all sorts of stuff, and flying took a backseat, like so many of us. And the one thing we realized is we all gave up something we love, aviation, usually for someone we love. Maybe it was for a child to go off to school, and that money needed to be put aside for their college education. Maybe it's because a loved one was ill, and your attention needed to be put over there. But we all come back to that one thing we love, which is flying. So Flying Again is really their story, why they left the cockpit, and now let's watch and rejoice in them getting back in the cockpit again. So we have Rusty Pilots. As short term as Ariel, just 3 years, and a gentleman named Bill Clayton, who has over 30 years of getting back in the cockpit. He provides some great humor in there, too, with some of his radio calls and bounces and everything else.
And that will be the selling feature to this, how cool and comfortable it is.
Yes.
The point is, for those of us who've experienced sitting in the left seat, it's the kind of thing that it is a religion. You do marry into it, and it is tattooed on your heart. And I'm blessed that I'm able to do it now, and I count my blessings every day. And yes. I look at others, and that's why I'm involved with the Institute for Women of Aviation Worldwide, and the reason why I joined IMC Club was to help others and to turn to folks who have all this experience and sit and hangar fly with them. And I did these documentaries on these aging aviators, especially the gentleman I bought the airplane from. He had 16 Piper aircraft.
Wow.
16 airplanes.
Wow.
And the man's just a wealth of information.
Yes.
And I got him back up. Now, he couldn't get his medical, but the man can fly an airplane.
Yes, I believe it.
Oh, my God. Hey, I'm going to teach you how to use the Horton stall. Okay, pull her back. Hey, John, we're 20 feet over the ground. Pull her back. Don't worry about it. Oh, yeah? Well, let's just say that I had to jump in and let a little sanity take over.
Yes.
But his wealth of experience and those aviators, we need them. We need the grandparents. We need the uncles. We need the warm, fuzzy people that will lean over and go, well, you can do that a couple of ways. without threatening us, without making us feel intimidated or embarrassed.
Yes.
And that intimidation is what throws so many people off.
Yes.
That intimidation with an instructor who's holier than thou.
Yes.
That intimidation of, I have to spend this money is so valuable. If I don't get it all together now, I only have an hour. You need to get rid of that.
Yes.
So that after you and I, Uncle Joe, sits down and go, well, let's pull out a chart, and we're going to talk, and we're going to review everything at maybe a little bit of his time, a little neutral time.
Sure.
And that's what the experienced aviators have to offer.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, between the Blueprint and the Flying Again DVD, I mean, will you get off your ass?
I know. I got to
Do
do something. Do something
will
in
ya?
my life. You know.
I mean, have you ever heard of, think globally, act locally?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, really, get a grip.
Yes.
Well, the nice thing is you have. And, we haven't even talked about your educational programs.
Yes.
Tell me, son, what do you offer the aviation community as far as education?
So we have a full online ground school, private instrument commercial, and to help the financial aspect of it, it's one price and you get all 3 courses. Because who becomes just a private pilot and doesn't want to go on and be an instrument-rated pilot? But maybe there's a financial obstacle to that. And I always preach, I want you to do the ground school first, so let us help you with your private pilot. Let's enjoy being a private pilot. And don't forget, by the way, you still have access to now the instrument ground school to just step foot into that world, and hopefully we get you hooked and you fall in love with it and take action on that instrument rating. I think every private pilot should go out and get an instrument rating. You just start the training with it. It is such a great skill to have. I'd prefer you do it in your own airplane or in the airplane you're going to be hauling the family in and everything else. It's just a great, great skill to have. Of course, we have our plain English teaching style that goes along with that. Something I'll kind of end with this. What we've been switching to is, you may have heard, the FAA is moving from PTS now to ACS, Practical Test Standards, to now Airman Certification Standards. And what we've done, I'm actually a fan of it. I've seen it take some heat before. I have a video coming out soon on why I'm a fan of it. I'll give you the quick rundown. It's very scenario-based. And any good instructor will tell you they've been teaching the ACS all this time, all along. People say, Jason, it's going to be more expensive. It's going to be this. And it may be. We don't know that yet. But the scenario-based aspect of it, Howie is flying from the Vineyard to Block Island to visit a friend, and you encounter some weather. It's no longer, here's your written test, is it A, B, or C? And that's rote memorization. It's, let's put some skin in the game and give it a real-world story that's applicable to you that we'd actually do. It's scenario-based training. It's something we've been doing for a long time. The FAA just finally gave it a name.
Well, for those of you that, you're obviously part of the IMC Club, you're listening to this podcast, you heard the words coming out of his mouth, scenario-based training. He's looking at education linearly. It doesn't stop with VFR. It doesn't stop with IFR. Of course, you should get your instrument training rating, please. But I live on a piece of earth in the middle of the ocean. Fog, you can get fog at any temperature out in the middle of the ocean. And I have.
Yes.
And I've flown halfway over the island, and it's IFR, and I'm not getting in. And I fly around to go to Hyannis, and from the middle of the island, look, Tradewinds is open. It's a little grass airfield.
Yes.
Martha's Vineyard's closed. Tradewinds is open. It's 2700. I've got a Cherokee with a Horton stall kit. And home I go. So, but the thing is, that's because I'm not instrument rated. Listen, I will come by the booth later, grab
Yes,
you.
love that.
We'll do the rest of the program that you and I are talking about.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming by. Really, Jason, you've certainly been wonderfully entertaining to watch the growth
Thank you.
of you.
Thank you.
And I got a son your age, and Sam, if you're listening, this guy's both of you guys kick ass. Jason, we're gonna mosey on to part of the second part here, so I'm gonna let you go.
Cool. Thank you so much, Howie. I really appreciate it.
Bye, Jason. Shake the hand, my son.
Thank you.
Teresa, come on in. So as Jason wraps up, I have the delight. Here you go, take that. I have the delight of, why don't you pronounce your name properly for me?
Teresa Demers.
Thank you, Teresa. Hi, I'm Howie.
Hi,
Hi,
Howie.
nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you in person
had
now,
some,
finally.
Yeah, we had some email, and it's been really interesting trying to put this together. There's one of the cool things years ago at Oshkosh. I was part of a inner circle of industry leaders who talked about the lack of growth in the pilot population and how difficult it was for people to get folks inspired. And what was really interesting was that, and now I'm blocking, his name just went in and out of my head twice, the president of your company.
Oh, you're talking about Alan Schrader.
Alan. I sat next to Alan.
Yes.
And what a phenomenal experience it was. It was so much fun. I mean, talk about grounded. Talk about... I was there. I was invited to come speak at the time I was doing the Flying High Coffee program. Mm-hmm. And the idea was to take a portion of the profits and give it to aviation nonprofit organizations, and it worked to some degree. But being there with Alan and listening to the focus that your company had, I'm going to give a nice wave to Alan, and I can't tell you how impressed I am with the growth of your company. You've identified, let me just ask you, what is your view of how the company's grown and where it's going? Why don't you just give me the marketing spiel from the top?
Sure. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for having us. And I would just say, it is absolutely a passion of Alan's and certainly the company's to continue the growth of aviation. And there's the Lightspeed Aviation Foundation. It was founded 6 years ago, specifically with two focuses in mind. That's one of them, the growth of aviation. And then the second one is really to recognize and reward individuals and organizations that are using their flying skills for compassion-related things. And so through through the foundation, over that 6 years, about 50 organizations have been helped through the very unique process of what was called the Pilot's Choice Voting Awards and stuff. So anyway, so just to elaborate a little bit more on that, thank you. And so that's and the Lightspeed Aviation Foundation has a fantastic board of directors as well. Some very seasoned and very.
Can you tell us who?
A couple of the names.
Mention one or two. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's private. I think a couple of the names are pretty well known. Wayne Handley is on. Charlie Plum, who's a Vietnam veteran, is on the board, and a couple of other individuals as well. So it's also a group of individuals that really care a lot about aviation as well. But to answer the question that you asked, Lightspeed really is, and Alan wouldn't say this because he's too humble, but I can say it for him, is really an entrepreneurial success story. The company's about 20 years old now, founded in 1996. And
why?
Why founded?
How did it come to be? Do you know?
Well, yeah, I do. Alan himself had some prior experience with a couple of aviation headset companies, and so and I think got to a point where he felt like, he could build a better mousetrap, and got a couple of other guys together that all had their unique specialties to put that together, and founded the company. Took their first headset to Oshkosh, kind of prototype on a corner of a booth, kind of a thing, and it went from there. So, in 20 years, the company has built not only an amazing brand, but also some really amazing products. And so, through the years, the Lightspeed mission is to create advocates of our products and our way of doing business. And so while we want to build headsets that pilots love to use, and we're always pushing the edge of the envelope for technology, we also really want to serve our customers in ways that are unique as well. And so I think through the years, pilots have appreciated that, and so it's created a lot of loyalty among the customer base.
Well, that I can appreciate. One of the things that I run into all the time are customer service issues. These things, things in aviation are expensive. They're quite the investment. And if you get people who can identify with the issues that you have and to help you out effectively, that means a big difference. How long have you been with the company?
I've been with the company 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I started actually.
You're not green anymore.
My first week on the job was at Sun and Fun. Actually, so it's my 5th Sun and Fun this year. And
really?
Yeah, and it's just so fun.
So your first year was the tornado?
No, I think the tornado was the year before I started. Yeah, so 2012 was the year. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
So it's
that was my first year.
Really?
Holy
cow! Yes, I've heard the stories about it, and fortunately, no one from Lightspeed was hurt in that. But
yay!
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And where are you located?
We're in out in the suburbs of Portland, Oregon. It's called Lake Oswego, Oregon.
Oh.
Yeah. And we're having a lot of fun here. You probably remember we've actually introduced 2 products in the last 2 years, but most recently in November we introduced the aviation's first premium wireless headset. We call it Tango, and we're having a lot of fun with that. It's something that customers had been asking for years.
Please. Who hasn't almost hung themselves with the damn cables?
Right. Yeah, and everything else in our world is wireless. But doing it for aviation was a much higher bar to clear, and so our engineers actually worked on the project for about 2 years, and to get the communication link, which we call Lightspeed Link, to be solid like it needs to be for aviation.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And you also have an app which allows you to do a number of things with it.
We do. Thank you. That's one of the kind of, I think, underrated features of our products is that in 2012, we developed an app that we call Flight Link, and it enables all of our headsets to be able to turn an iPad or an iPhone into a cockpit voice recorder. There's another thing that people had been asking for a number of years. And so now with the cockpit voice recorder, it's great for a couple of scenarios. Speaking of scenarios, and I think Jason is just great. He's so much energy and so fun and a difficult act to follow, quite frankly. So, anyways, excuse me. So,
children, animals, and Jason.
Well, he brings a lot of infectious enthusiasm to our industry, which we need, and so it's really great. So the app, anyways, it's great in a scenario for training because you can record your whole flight, and then when you're back on the ground, use that as a debriefing tool with your instructor, or just listen to it, improve your communication skills that way. But it's also good for experienced pilots. In the app itself, when you have it on your phone or your iPad, you have instant playback to anything that's occurred in the last 2 minutes. So if you just had a radio call and you weren't sure was that my tail number, or you can just hit the quick playback, hear it again, and then make your call back to ATC.
Okay. Yeah. Listen, I've only been, haven't had my ticket that long. Maybe half a dozen years. Holy Mother of God, writing back. Why we need to dictate everything and why you can't get texts. Boggles my mind. Let's just read backs, please. Let's start with that, and then. In the mix of a Bravo like Boston, when they vectored you through and everything's marching along, to be able to go, yeah, I got that. But I heard a transmission just a couple of seconds ago and wish you could go back. And how much more comfortable you'd be if you could just hit that 15-second reply or return. Is that what you do? Is
exactly.
That
yes. So the whole 2 minutes.
Do I get a commission?
Yeah.
No, of course not. I'm joking. But that's wonderful. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so the most recent 2 minutes is always continuously there, and you can just touch anywhere in that zone. If you want to hear 30 seconds ago what happened, or 1 minute ago, or just 2 seconds ago what happened, you just pick, how long back in that 2 minutes, and you get instant playback in your own headset. And it will continue to record even while it's playing back.
That's really cool. By the way, we are live on the back deck of the Sun and Fun Radio, and I'm going to ask you, Teresa, to move your chair over.
Okay.
Because it turns out, there you go. Can you do that?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Oh, now people can open the door. Dave Shellbutter came by, tried to get out of the door, and that was a bit of a trouble.
Sorry.
It's great to. Well, it's an exciting product, and I can't begin to tell you how I'm really looking forward to giving your headset a try.
Thank you.
The option of what the app provides, the read back, that's really something. Now, there's all sorts of opportunities in this growing market. You guys have cornered a piece of it, which is being really aggressive, and I think it's wonderful. Do you have any plans for the future that you'd like to talk about?
We just keep on working on the next things, right? I think Lightspeed, part of how we have gotten to where we've been is we just keep innovating and listening to pilots. We come to shows like this, many times a year. Alan Schrader himself is in the booth talking to customers all day long, at these shows, and we just really listen to our customers and get a lot of ideas about how we can either improve our current products or new things that we can come out with that pilots want, that pilots love. All we do is aviation products. So we're very aviation centered, and we just love serving the market.
Well, congratulations on the new product. You certainly beat the band. The quality of the product, I have used Lightspeeds before. I'm kind of interesting where I am. I work with a lot of students. I happen to have inherited a lot of different product. And what's really interesting is I spend time in different aircraft, a lot of other people's airplanes. And it's given me the opportunity to offer the folks in these other aircraft the chance to try the products that I've used. And I get some really interesting feedback. Plus, I'm living out in an area of Massachusetts which gets a lot of activity in the summer. We get a phenomenal wide range of aircraft. And that's probably the biggest virtue is, some firewalls create more of a sound protection. The Pipers were known for that. Yet the other aircraft, when you fly with the windows open in a 170, 182, that's going to add, it doesn't matter what the firewall protection gave because, you're comfortable with your arm out the window. And then, of course, flying with canopy open depending on the aircraft. So you've got all these different aircraft. How you make a product which is going to fill everybody's needs. Good luck, Alan.
Well, and that's just such a great segue into kind of our latest tagline of a sort is that we have a headset for every mission. And right now we have 4 headsets in our product line, including the new wireless headset. And different ones are different for better scenarios and better situations and better pocketbooks, frankly. So we're over in Hangar B, booths 46 and 47, and we got a bunch of happy people over there that would love to walk everybody through everything they've got.
Well, Teresa, it was a real pleasure to meet you, and I truly appreciate the fact that you took the time to come over.
Absolutely.
And I'll come by later and maybe have Alan do a little more longer story of his part.
Great.
And we'll get some background in your booth and the nature of how things are growing there.
Great.
So again, Teresa Demers
Yes.
from Lightspeed. It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you very much for having me. And, thanks. We'll take care of you. We'll get you a demo. Can't wait to have you try it.
It'll be fun. Thanks. Okay, well, we have more red shirts. Although, hi guys, why don't you drag that chair down over there? This one needs to go right in here because that door is going to open. So have a seat. This will be Tom Turner.
Yes, sir.
He's slipping it in here, and Whit, Howie Marlin. Nice to meet you, Whit. Okay, you're going to use this mic here, this one, and make sure it goes on. I like that. And this one, make sure that it's on because people like to turn it off as well. Hey, guys. Glad you found me.
Yeah, I am too.
It was hysterical.
I came back here twice. I go, this has got to be it.
Oh, up front.
Yeah, but they didn't know.
So here we are.
So here we are.
Yeah, we be the bastard child of Sun and Fun Radio. He in the back deck. We've been back here for years, and the nice thing is that the IMC Club has grown. And what's going on is that we just got bought by the EAA.
Right.
Well, that puts a whole new spin on things. And what is really wonderful is that you have fundamentally the IMC Club was created to help the instrument-rated pilots stay proficient. But now with the EAA having caught our attention, they've asked us to also provide VFR Club or for non-instrument rated people.
Right.
Your aircraft, your association, it's not your basic trainer aircraft. Your aircraft are for folks who have put in their time, gotten accustomed to radio talk, can get in and out of Bravo okay. And I wanted, maybe him, not
we're
you.
just learning.
Well, there was no guarantee on that. But it's interesting because there's some bonanzas on in our field, and I've been in a number of them. The fit and finish, the feel, the nature of the aircraft, the mission of the aircraft, they all change. Who's the marketing guy between the two of you? You're the director?
I'm kind of the marketing guy, yes.
Okay, tell me, how did the organization get created? Obviously, because you're all Bonanza users, but tell me more about the organization.
Well, interesting enough that you ask, we're getting ready to celebrate 50 years next year. In Wichita, Kansas is where we're headquartered.
That's phenomenal.
50 years of a type club, which is probably the largest type club in the world today. But 50 years is a long time, and it started out as just a small volunteer group that has now led to about 6 staff members at headquarters in Wichita. Tom, you may want to...
Sure.
When you do that, move your chair over, because we are on radio, and you have a face for radio.
Okay. All right, good deal. Well, ABS was founded by a few folks in upstate New York in 1967 who got together to share operating techniques for flying the Beach Bonanzas. Over the years, it's grown. The first convention, the first national convention of ABS was in a year later in 1968 in Wichita, hosted by Beechcraft. Before I was there, but I've seen pictures, and there were about 150 people in attendance there, and the society's grown, as Whit said, for 50 years now, and over 9,000 members.
9,000? And all over the world?
All over the world.
Yeah.
Most of them in the United States.
Yeah.
But,
it's kind of a humorous thing we say sometimes, but 2/3 of our name don't adequately describe us. We're not just American. We're not just Bonanzas. We also do Barons and Travelers and Debonaires. But,
really?
We're a worldwide organization.
So it's not exclusively for the Bonanzas.
Not just the Bonanzas, but what we call the Bonanza derivative airplanes, the aircraft that are all based on the basic Bonanza airframe.
Oh, okay. That makes sense to me. That's great. So, do you have an educational platform? How do you disseminate the information?
well, first of all, we put out a monthly magazine. It's about 84 pages, full color, and monthly is a pretty big deal for 84 pages. We have a full website. We have a monthly, bi-weekly newsletters. So we have a ton of ways that we disseminate our information. We come to Sun and Fun every year. We go to Oshkosh. We go to AOPA groups. And, of course, we have our own convention every year. But this year we'll be taking a year off to get ready for our 50th next year.
Where was your convention last time?
Our last convention was in Orlando, Florida.
And so you're taking a year off, and you're going to party hardy.
Yeah, we won't be actually taking a year off. We'll be getting ready for preparation
Right, there we go.
for next year. And as you know, 50 is a big number, and we'll be looking forward to a big crowd in Wichita, Kansas next year, September 21st.
You're going to introduce them to aviation, are you?
Yeah, we are. You know,
Good deal.
home of Beechcraft and Textron Aviation now, but.
Well, that's incredible. Having just earned my ticket a half a dozen years ago,
Okay.
just bought a hangar. Really starting to be invested in it. There's a bucket list for me, a very short one. And many years ago, for Angel Flight, somebody was kind enough to give me a ride in their Bonanza, and I sat right seat as we went into Providence, and I have to tell you, it was an experience, and this is from a guy that put some time in. I wasn't, a seasoned pilot by any means at that point, but it was, the whole feel was different, and it was just a different level, and it was something that I now aspire to be involved in.
Good.
So I can see myself being a part owner.
Okay, well, when the time comes, other things, you asked how we disseminate information. We have an online pilot training program, the Beechcraft Pilot Proficiency Program. It's about a 13-hour ground school on the systems and operating techniques for the airplane. You follow that.
Where's that held?
Well, it's an online program. And then, although we occasionally do some live courses, such as here, we've got a Beechcraft Pilot Proficiency Program, the BPPP program. We've got a live event going on in the forums here this week. We did one in Houston, Texas, a few weeks ago.
When are the forums?
Every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. in Classroom 2.
Well, this is Tuesday, the first day of the show. So you're saying every day of the show at?
Through Friday. So
Through
Wednesday,
Friday.
Thursday, and Friday this week. So we're doing for them. But then we follow that up with with a pilot training program. We have over 80 highly experienced, fully accredited Beechcraft instructors around the country, some internationally now. So the idea is you decide you're going to attain that aspiration. You're going to get your Bonanza. You can learn about your airplane online, find one of our expert instructors near your home, and then go take a roughly 4-hour orientation, transition training flight in the aircraft. So we do that.
That's incredible.
We also have a flight instructor training and accreditation program, a mechanic accreditation program, and an aviation maintenance facility accreditation. So we get the word out.
That's awesome. And just the fact that you guys are involved at that level, I pray that you're inspirational to those who've had their ticket, parked it, got out of it, and want to get back in it.
Yeah.
I mean, the word of mouth, things have changed a bit. The energy, the finances, their country, thank God. I'm going to knock on something, which let's keep our fingers crossed. But it's wonderful that you guys exist. I really look forward to joining you in the celebration of the 50th, and I really hope that we get a chance to celebrate your 75th soon.
Well, I hope you can come out.
No, I appreciate that. Is there anything else on the horizon you want to share? Because we have somebody else on deck.
We'll be here all week. We're at lot N90. And as Tom mentioned, we have seminars, we have membership information, and merchandise. If you're not a member, you don't have to be a Bonanza owner or an airplane owner. You can be an enthusiast to join our association. We'd love to have you. Come by and see us.
Well,
we'll
you
be
have
here
me
all
at
week.
hello.
All right.
So you can expect me. I'll come by and say hi over at the booth.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Howie.
All right, guys. Whit Hickman and Tom Turner from the Bonanza Society. Thanks, guys. Come on in, you guys. Give me a business card and your counterpart, please. I got 2 seats, no waiting. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back just for a little background information about IMC Club.
Welcome to Plain Talk on WIMC Radio. The views and opinions expressed on Plain Talk are of the host, its guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views of the IMC Club.
I overbooked.
It happens.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, as you all heard, I overbooked. I forgot to mute my mic, but that's live radio for you. And I'm here with Peter Ring and Ashley Kelly. Hi, guys, from Free Flight Systems. And we will go over, you get your full 20 minutes. So I'm going to say thanks for coming by. Truly appreciate it. Thank you very much. And if you do me a favor, because we are live on the radio, and you have a face for radio, you're going to move that way. And you'll see as you look into the camera, because now I'll be able to use this against you in a court of law. So I truly appreciate you taking the time, and it's interesting that 2 major events in the country, Oshkosh and Sun and Fun.
Yep.
If you want to make a name, if you want to be heard, if you want people to understand who you are and what you're about, this is there's Plan A and Plan B, and holy cow, what a gorgeous week. What a great day. And welcome to Sun and Fun 2016. I'm going to just start at the top and ask you to give me your pitch. What's new with Free Flight?
So Free Flight Systems, we're not exactly your household name when it comes to avionics. So we are a company that's been in business for about 25 years through Trimble Avionics and then Terra, and then we became Free Flight Systems in 2001. In 2008, we changed ownership and refocused everything onto next-gen avionics, which is a big focus for us now. Is obviously the backbone of next-gen is ADS-B. So ADS-B is essentially the replacement or the upgrade from what we have today with ground-based radar and transponder replies that we're currently using for air traffic separation here in the United States.
I've learned about this the hard way. I bought myself a Garmin 230, I believe, a few years ago, new in the box, just in time for the ADS-B announcement to be made, to which I had to now look for a replacement. So anyway, tell me about... we just had the Bonanza Society guys come and go, and they're more the kind of the ilk of the folks that are more familiar with your product. Give me the soup to nuts. That's why you're here. Tell us all about it.
Well, let's start with...
by the way, the IMC Club instrument-rated pilots just bought by the EAA, and we also now are offering a new version of our club for VFR pilots. It's all based on proficiency and education. So now you're talking to both instrument-rated and to VFR pilots who aspire or want to pay attention to instrument conditions. Rock on, Pete.
So first I would start with what you described was your particular situation where right before the mandate came out, you went out and bought a new transponder. It's a good transponder, still fairly new. The solutions that Free Flight Systems offers would actually work with your existing transponder. So if you have a good transponder, if you don't have a need for it...
You just made my feet tingle.
Well,
no, you just made my feet tingle.
As long as it's just your feet, we're
reaction. Good. Just my feet. That's where the money toes are. I cringe my toes when it comes to money. Every time you talk about the airplane, my toes cringe up. Tell me about that.
So the way our system works is it's a 978 transceiver, so it's a remote mount box that sits in your aircraft. You continue to fly once this system is installed the same way that you fly today. So you get in the aircraft, you put your squat code in your transponder, it's going to automatically port over into our system, and you're going to be ADSB equipped and ADSB compliant to meet the mandate. All the solutions that we sell are certified mandate compliant units that are remote mount. So the way I like to describe it is minimally invasive surgery on the aircraft. You don't have to rip the whole panel apart and redo everything on it.
That's okay. No, you're talking to a consumer who's sitting here going, I didn't know that. And I've been reading, I'm going to confess, I read the magazines, I read the blogs. There's just so much information. Plus, as you guys have no idea, I'm a psychotherapist, I work at an ER, I run a drug program, I got a job. I have other stuff. So it's not like I can, get all this. But minimally invasive upgrade using my existing Garmin.
Yep.
Oh, baby. Talk money.
Our products start as low as $1,995 for a transmitter with its own internal GPS. So if you don't have a GPS on board the aircraft, that's fine too. We can embed it into our existing unit. You don't have to do anything to the panel, and you're still good to go. That's just going to meet the mandate at $1,995. The high end, all the way at the other end of the spectrum, is $4,495, and that's ADSB in, ADSB out. It includes your antennas and everything. We don't add that stuff on after the fact and charge you more for it. It also includes a nifty little doodad, which is our serial to Wi-Fi adapter. So when that ADSB information is received into the aircraft, you don't necessarily have to have a panel mount display in order for it to work. We can actually transmit it out wirelessly to an iPad or an Android.
Really?
Yep.
Oh my God. So I don't have to get new panel stuff.
Correct.
For what I don't need.
Yep.
But what I have for situational awareness now anyway, you can afford me. Acronyms are flying in and out of my head. AHARS and...
We don't do AHARS today. That's
Okay.
the one thing that a lot of our customers have asked for, and it is something we are looking at.
I'm glad you're not perfect. I'm glad you have somewhere to go.
Well, I mean, we try.
Are you paying attention?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So what other components will I be able to get on my Mini?
So you'll be able to receive your weather and your traffic information directly onto your iPad, or we work with Android as well. And we work with ForeFlight and WingX and all the big names out there for the iPads.
You got me on WingX because I jumped on WingX at the beginning. I'm not a rich man and I'm not a professional traveler.
Yep.
I have a couple of clients that I travel to, but it's not my major primary source of transportation.
Sure.
I'm working on my instrument past the written, but I didn't get enough hours.
Yeah.
That's the big bounce.
Yeah.
That's what held me back for a few years. Was that written?
Well, it's funny, and you should when you do talk. I want it
okay.
about 3 inches from your chin. So you
okay.
There you go.
You won't hurt yourself. It's
it's
padded for
padded.
a reason.
Okay.
What was interesting was I at the time I was gung ho. I studied and passed and did well on my written, and then the use of the aircraft was taken away from me. But I got back at the bastard. I bought the damn airplane.
Perfect.
Well, that's one way to do it.
I know I said it before. I'll say it again. And now I'm going to be able to back into it. There are other things that stepped in my way, other financial things, including the purchase of a hangar. But life,
Sure.
is getting in its wake. Thank God I can do all this. But I will be going and getting my instrument. I will I need to upgrade by, the big question, the deadline is coming up. Nobody wants to get in line at a shop just before the gun.
Right.
So, you'll be one of 60. Park it and see me next year.
Well, and the problem you're going to start running into even today is, one thing that, my sort of specialty with Free Flight is dealer management, and I've been running the dealer network here for a bunch of years now. And we're starting to already we started seeing it about October of last year.
Yeah.
Where, typically they're 3 to 4 week window of when they're booking to now. And we started seeing it just, starting to climb straight up. So we came out of December and we had dealers that were talking about 13 to 15 week lead times in order to get an airplane into the shop. So while a lot of folks are concerned that prices are going to go down on the equipment, it's a safe bet to say that the cost for installation is going to start going up, because if you're 13, 15 weeks out, well, if you're the guy that's going to pay a little bit extra money, guess what? You're now at the front of the line, and that's going to drive up a lot of those installation costs.
Understood, and it's really good to pay attention to that. the fact that you offer a variety of options for people to get into. Let me ask you that if I get in on the entry level, what's it take for me to take advantage of the rest of the assets of the full price spread? I just tripped on. I couldn't think of what to say.
You're good.
So our products are designed from the beginning to be upgradable. So it's an identical installation. We can swap the box if it's different components in the box that we need to, and you don't have to rewire the aircraft to do any of that stuff. It is designed. So there's basically two different series. There's the Light series, which is the low-cost alternative, stripped of some of the features that the what we call the Blue Series offers. Once you're in a Blue Series, it's a matter of software changes in order to do the upgrades.
Cool.
Same thing on the Light side. It's just software. But if you wanted to go from a Light to a Blue box, we'd swap the boxes.
Okay.
And
Same size box?
Same exact same size box, just no blue paint on the Light ones.
Awesome. Well,
Very fancy.
and
You say more than perfect?
What?
Do you say more than perfect?
You want me to say more than... I
Yes,
know.
please.
why don't you tell me more than perfect? Are you a pilot, Kelly?
I am not. No.
You got to fix that.
We were actually
just
having a
talking
conversation
about that,
when
yeah.
we were walking over here.
Yeah.
Well, I'm telling you, first of all, I'm a member of the Institute for Women of Aviation Worldwide. My role with the organization was actually, what I want to do is inspire young ladies to look towards aviation, aerospace as careers. So you're looking at the STEM program, and the fact is, when I first got involved in aviation, a half a dozen years ago, I looked out and I saw nothing but gray-haired old men. And I got all upset. I couldn't believe it. I finally got my ticket. I finally got to be involved in the passion of my life. And all these people are going to lose their tickets soon. Where's the rest of the world? And being the kind of person that I am, I decided that I was going to do everything I could to help muster interest to get more people involved in aviation.
Right.
And I got involved with Flying High Coffee and the Arthur Godfrey Foundation and, of course, Sun and Fun Radio and IMC Club. But the Institute for Women, now there's Women in Aviation Worldwide,
Right.
which is a wonderful program, and Peggy does a phenomenal job. By the way, these two programs are much like AOPA and EAA organizations. So this organization is worldwide. We literally had over 40,000 young ladies involved in aviation in the air over a 1 week period of time last month in 240 facilities in 4 continents.
That's
Phenomenal.
Crazy. Yeah.
Crazy good.
Crazy
So
awesome,
for
yeah.
you to be involved in aviation, high five, girl. There you go. Show me some love.
Yeah.
And you are what we need. You.
I'm
Not so much.
going to turn into what you described in probably about
Come
another.
on, come on. Yeah, the gray's creeping up on you.
Yeah, this industry does that to you.
Yeah, but you thank God you're still young enough. You are on the young side, very much so. All kidding aside, just to see folks that aren't retired yet, to see folks that have a career ahead of them, that have a life of passion in aviation ahead of them, and to see you. Thank you for doing it. For whatever reasons. It may be a good gig. It may be nice people. All that means nothing to me. Good product. I don't care about the product.
I'm her boss. I hope it's a good gig.
I don't care about him.
Yeah.
The fact that you're representing a technology which is a leading edge technology. And it would be just fine if for you to make fuzzy things for airplanes as well. Not
Right.
to say and not to take away from anybody else in any other aspect. But your technology. You're the kind of technology, one, we need. Actually, the FAA has made it a requirement. And the fact that you're involved with a company that, I don't know how exactly to say this, to offer an entry-level version to keep me from sweating is a godsend. And I didn't know. I started the conversation by saying
Sure.
I can't read everything.
Yeah.
And one of the things that's delightful about doing this show is that I learn a lot, including I didn't know that you offered, and I'm telling you now, it's mine. The fact that I may have to think long and hard about how much can I afford right now to go with you said the blue box versus the other?
Blue box versus the light box.
Light box. Interesting. I mean, I've got, I've I made a commitment on a hanger and other
Sure.
things.
Yep.
I literally had Jason Shafford here a little while ago, and we were talking about the fact that I'm working on my instrument and I passed my written, but I can't put it in all the time because the guy I've been renting the hanger from decided he wanted to sell it, and he offered it at his fire sale, which was like, really? And I went, oh my God. And I like, okay. I turned to my wife, and she, with the gun to my head, said, you're going to do what? So...
Well, we've also got a way to help offset you having to roll out all the money in one shot, too, for doing that upgrade. So we have a deposit program. So basically what that allows you to do is put down a little bit of money now to secure your unit and secure your spot in our production line.
Yes.
And then when you want to take the unit later, in a year or 2 years, you just pay the difference of it then. So it's basically...
At the current price?
At the current price. And our price is actually... We'll lock you in at this price, and our price is actually forecasted to go up at the beginning of at the middle of this year.
So is everybody's. I mean, that's the nature of things.
Yep.
But that's awesome. And it's hard for me to think of why I wouldn't. I just got to figure...
Let's get your wife on the phone.
Yeah.
And
Hold on, I'm going to text her right now. Do you want a divorce? No, that's not going to work.
Do you want the heads B? I don't know what that is. Don't come home.
This is the woman. Jenny got, we've been together 30 years, and we just visited my son in Nashua. And if that airplane isn't skating on ice, she gets all upset. And she starts whacking me in the shoulder. Stop it. I go, what? Just a little bump or two. We're not talking head bouncing.
Yeah.
We're just talking a little gust. Yeah. And she's she's done with it. Anyway.
I think when I took you flying, we were up in New England, and we were basically having to take the scenic route everywhere we went because it was summertime and there were thunderstorms everywhere.
It was raining on one side of the airport and not raining on the other side. It was.
Oh yeah. New England summers.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Colorado. The storms roll over the mountains, and you can see it over there. Well, fly over there, and that works. Where were you in New England?
I picked her up in Westerly, Rhode Island, and we went up to Portsmouth.
Oh, no kidding.
And we were IMC on the approach into Portsmouth, crystal clear where we touched down, and it was raining at the far end of the runway. All right, taxi quick and get out of the plane and get to the building because it's coming.
Yeah, that's cool, especially when you need a car wash or a plane wash. That's awesome. Ashley Kelly, you're sales for the company. Peter Ring, you're the organizer of sales for the company.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, I truly appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming out.
Oh, my pleasure.
And your patience. I know that it's interesting, trying to juggle all your commitments, but the beautiful thing is I don't see any tornadoes forecast this year.
Nope, not this year.
By the way, the first year I did it, I came for a documentary and I stayed for the tornadoes. It was amazing, but that ain't going to happen this year.
I was here that year.
Oh, boy.
I've got the T-shirt to prove it.
And I got the video. I'll tell you where the website is. I got the video of the tornado. But again, I truly appreciate the fact that you shared this information with us. And I personally am going to take full advantage of it. It's one of the setbacks of doing this job.
Yeah.
I learn, and now that I learn, I can't shove the genie back in the bottle.
Well, if you get a minute, come over and check us out in Hangar C, booth 90 and 91.
Well, I will later today, and you can be absolutely certain that I'll do exactly that. Well, this brings us to the end of another IMC Club program, and this is the day one, and the nice thing is we will be here until Saturday, and so on behalf of the EAA IMC Club constituents, John and Radek, who will join me tomorrow, Howie Marlin signing out.
You guys should come up there one day. You'd enjoy it. You'd enjoy the show.